this section of Titus chapter 3 that we're looking at right now, we've already talked about the grace of God that has changed our lives. And now Paul has moved on to challenge Titus to in turn challenge his people to allow the grace of God to change us and change the way that we live before the world. Now, last time we looked at Titus 3:2, and we talked about the importance of watching our words and being careful that our words are gracious, being careful that we're not slandering other people or that we're not always hating other people. And now he turns to verse 3. Let me read it for you. He says, "For we ourselves were once foolish, disobedient, led astray, slaves to various passions and pleasures, passing our days in malice and envy, hated by others and hating one another." Now, this is an interesting verse that Paul gives us here. And what he's saying is this: one of the reasons we need to watch our words, and one of the reasons, as we talked about even before that we ought to submit to authority, and that we ought always not to be against everything, even though we know there's a lot of things in this world that are going on that clearly we do not believe in, we do not practice, and we know that God is not pleased by them. To always be negative and always to be ranting against the things that are going on, Paul, remember, has encouraged us that we need to be for the gospel. We need to be sharing the truth of Jesus Christ. And here in 3:3, he reminds us why that is so for us, why that needs to be our passion, because we used to be like that. We used to be involved in this world system. We used to be the ones who were doing all of these things, practicing all of these illicit things. For we ourselves once were foolish and disobedient and consumed by lust. You see, my friends, one of the reasons why we ought to be so passionate about reaching other people with the gospel of the grace of Jesus Christ is because without the grace of Christ, we would still be there. It is so easy to become consumed by all of the horrible things that are going on in our world. But the grace of Jesus Christ, the same grace that changed us, can change others as well. Now, I know that sometimes some of us could look at our lives and say, well, I trusted Christ when I was 5 years old or 6 years old. I was just a child. I wasn't involved in all of these things. Well, maybe not actively, but every person who has ever been born onto the face of this earth since the Garden of Eden has been a sinner, is a sinner. We all are consumed with self. Even as Christ followers, it's very easy for us to be consumed with the thoughts and affairs of our own lives and our own selves instead of being concerned about others and living for the grace of Jesus Christ. So today, can I challenge you to look at the people around you and ask yourself this: what could the grace of God do in that person's life? Just like God has saved you through the grace of Christ, he can save others as well.